Do you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? That is the sound of cheap supermarket lager. And it's just about to be mixed with cherry juice and pink lemonade to make a cheap cherry lager in a stein. Good morning, afternoon or evening, depending on where you're watching this, and welcome to Painting with Stephen, episode 25. So, yeah, this was, I'm gonna be honest, this shouldn't have taken me as long to film as it did, but then there were tons of things that I had to do, in terms of looking after family members, and I was doing shooting competitions and all sorts of stuff, so it is what it is. And I am also sort of intrigued by the end result. I don't think it's bad. I actually do think I like it. I think the more I look at it, the more I like the result. But the original plan for this painting was that it was going to be, you can see it. You can see that I've pretty much sketched what the plan for the painting is. Is pretty much this sort of fantasy-esque bridge with this sort of rickety stone pathway leading over into a sort of an obscured other part of this weird mountain pass, this haunting, creepy mountain pass with a cave, and then a smaller cave at the other end. So that was originally the plan, and the plan mostly was orchestrated. The plan was mostly followed through with, but then I think it turned out pretty okay. I quite like how it turned out. In the end, I think episode 26 is probably going to be I don't know, maybe more going back to nature, but in a bittersweet, haunting way, very tonalist. I don't know, maybe I'll look, maybe down the sort of George Inness camp. Maybe I'll rip off some modern painter who's getting like $5,000 for his paintings somehow. I don't know, like Justin Worrell or whatever. Because modern tonalism seems to be in right now. I don't know why. It just does. I like tonalism. But yeah, it is interesting. Certain things sell, certain things don't sell. And usually it's things that lack symbolic detail that sell. And I think a large part of that is because, I think there's two reasons for that, both of which I'm going to get into. One, it's something we've discussed on this channel before, art as commodity. People just wanting something because it's black or purple or brown because it will go with their wall, instead of actually seeing it as a piece of art that symbolises deeper meaning. And B, because people want to put themselves in it, and so I think sometimes it's very, very difficult, for example, to put yourself in a Caravaggio. It's not as difficult to put yourself in a George Inness. So if it's art, if it's escapism through art, you're more likely to pick the George Inness, I think. So I think that's an aspect to it as well. I've also been writing like crazy. That is another reason why I've not made a video for 3 weeks now, 2 weeks. I've been writing like crazy. I released a book on hemochromatosis. I released a book on embodied philosophy. So I've literally been writing pretty much like maybe 14 hours a day, something like that. Just getting a lot of books out there. So and I've got tons more ideas that I want to turn into books. So there's that. My embodied philosophy book also delves into turning philosophy into action, and transcendatory action like art creation is one of the most important parts of why mind and body are not separate. Obviously the book explores more concepts like the warrior poets, the philosopher king. These ideas of, if you look at a knight, their physical discipline was an embodiment of spiritual purity. With the samurai, same deal. With the Greek warrior, same deal. The Greek athlete, even the muscular Christianity movement of the British and American imperial systems. It's your physicality is an embodiment of virtue, because physicality is what's going to allow you to defend your morality. But I also do talk about how art is a transcendatory force within pretty much every single culture that actually has, I suppose you could say, refined civilization. Art is a linchpin of ideas. I'll link the Embodied Philosophy book in the description if you want to peruse that, if you wish to purchase that. Because why not? Hey, it might just, the thing that I think, this is going back to Neil Postman, right? One of the most dangerous aspects, he was writing this about the television of the 1980s, okay? I mean, think how far we've come since then. One of the most dangerous things about short form content is the fact that you don't actually get the chance to almost subconsciously elaborate on anything. This is a big problem. If you can't actually almost just like subconsciously chew and really let information bed in, then your long-term memory is going to suffer, your cognition is going to suffer, everything, your willpower is going to suffer. And moving, for example, from literature, books, which is a relatively long-form type of entertainment, although we can't just call it entertainment because it's also, about learning, about, like studying ideas. And this is moving on to my second point, but, bear with me. The book is basically designed to be a sort of long endeavour. You're meant to spend multiple hours puzzling through a book. And even if one idea, one tiny little aspect of, for example, Nietzsche's ideas or Schopenhauer's ideas or Aristotle's ideas or Joseph Conrad's ideas or Leo Tolstoy's ideas grab you, you can then compartmentalize that in your own mind and utilize it in your own life, and you can then take that and add it to your own personal philosophy and worldview and the way you see the world. Short form entertainment is pretty much, it's nigh impossible to do that, because there's not enough of it to find little nuggets of wisdom, even if you disagree with some other aspect of it. It's usually designed only for one purpose. And this leads me on to the second point, which is just everything is trivial now. Everything is meaninglessness now. It's missing actual proper intent. The lack of meaning is basically causing this great stagnation in art and literature and every single facet of important life and transcendatory action. I think when we analyse this, this is one of the worrying things that's happening with not just making everything the trivial, because I think, like, you don't read War and Peace to be entertained. You read War and Peace to learn and understand through the medium of fiction. Leo Tolstoy himself said that the reason he wrote War and Peace was to explore theology, philosophy, politics, and the history of Russia through the medium of fiction, because the medium of fiction not only keeps people's attentions, but also allows you to do dynamic, interesting things that didn't happen with your made-up actors within your work, which all usually are abstract representations of facets of society, or symbolic representations of facets of society. In the case of War and Peace, at first, obviously, Pierre, the main protagonist, is sort of symbolic of the hedonism and moral weakness of the intellectual atheist aristocratic Russia. He then very quickly learns that his life is meaningless and he himself is miserable, and although he is financially and materialistically rich, he is spiritually poor. This is the idea, the concept behind Pierre's character, and so he is written and designed that way for you to learn a moral lesson. Same with, we could literally name any great writer and we could come up with similar ideas, from Dostoevsky to Tolkien to, you name it. We could find, actual moral tales, moral lessons being explored. Making art or literature or making art and literature mere entertainment, mere distraction, making everything trivial, not having anything be serious or represent a serious point is an issue. Okay? I don't think that people should just be so easily entertained by everything all of the time. And also, pretty much universally, this is the thing, that comfort kills the soul. You need to strive for more. You need to strive to put yourself in uncomfortable situations in order to grow, in order to thrive. Just like physical stressors make the body stronger, mental stressors make the mind stronger. And this is the thing that I think people are missing out on when they don't challenge their ideas through the medium of art or fiction. Because you don't question anything. This is something that Neil Postman noticed in the 1980s. It's obviously got 20 times worse now with the advent of the smartphone. But this is the thing, isn't it? It's turning everything into the trivial. Things shouldn't be just the trivial, right? It's like what's happened to movies in the past, let's say 40 years. This slow but sure quipification of everything. This idea that everything should be funny, that nobody and nothing can be taken seriously, right? Let's go back to Thomas Carlyle's idea of hero worship in societies, right? Looking up to people, looking up to ideas, right? People and gods and goddesses and, like martyrs, they represent ideals of a society. They represent ideas that makes a society work or that society holds to a high regard. And this is why they are effective at causing unity, for people to band together around martyrs, because they represent a moral good that they see. Now, one moral good to one society is going to be a bad to another, which, this is sort of what I explore in Agora episode 2. Who fucking gives a shit? At the end of the day, like, I am a very moral person. If someone thinks that my morals are bad, I'm still going to try and enforce my morals, right? This works on a societal level, an ethnic level, a political level, a spiritual level. You are always going to try and defend what you think is right and band together with the people that see your worldview as the right worldview. So all of this post-human abstract crap, it means nothing. And going on to that, so does abstract art, because it's just symbolic of the fact that these people don't have morality, don't have a moral compass, don't see anything anyway, wallowing in this hell, this abstract hell, where just nothing means anything. God, I mean, it's a pretty miserable way, I think, to see life. This is why, people represent the best of their society, and they could see themselves as, for example, spiritually or morally superior to other societies, but still respect and admire other aspects of that society. This is an important point, because you can't live in a world where everything just fundamentally means nothing because someone is going to say, but someone else has a different worldview. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But anyway, art is meant to be an extension of your society, isn't it? And well-structured societies usually foster environments where artists can actually thrive and produce work. This is somewhere where the modern West is going haywire at the moment, because hyper-consumerism has sort of destroyed that materialist society that we have, has destroyed sort of the meaning and purpose that bolstered art having a prime place in the West. We need to get that back. We need to have a society where art is a transcendatory activity that is seen as a societal good, as a moral good. Because, and this is the thing, the philosopher that thinks but never chronicles, or the artist that paints but never shows his work, or the musician that writes songs but never records them. This is a fundamentally half-done job. This is something we can all learn from as creatives. You need to get your shit out there, even if nobody's paying attention. You still owe it to yourself and to society to get your shit out there. To try somehow to find a way to make it work, to explore your art somewhere, and have people see what you've done. Because it's not just important to you, it's important to everything and everyone. It could move someone's life, it could change someone's life, it could make someone's day better, it could bring strength to someone that's going through a tough time. You don't know, you need to get your shit out there. You need to try and get some attention for what you're doing. Not even from a, an arrogance level or for yourself, but for society, Anyway, this is the end result of this weird sort of fantasy painting. And I sort of like it, there's things that I maybe, would do slightly differently. It also depends on the light, I feel. Sometimes the light makes it look better and worse, but hey, do you know something? I think it's sort of cool. I think it's sort of cool. It's sort of evocative. You've got this light coming from the cave. You don't know what's going on there. Then you've got this bridge over to it, and you've got the mist. You've got this sort of ethereal blue mist with this creepy light. But then you've also got this sort of more foggy mist. And then you've got this big mysterious cave. Who knows where that goes? I don't know. There's an excitement to it. So yeah, I'm sort of happy with it. But anyway, I will see you for episode 26. And thank you very much for listening and watching. And goodbye.